Welcome to the Startup Grind. So in 2006, you apply to MIT. You attend MIT you attend your first semester, and at the time you and your brother start this company. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I went to MIT. I applied to MIT sort of when I still had a year and a half left in high school, so I ended up starting a year early. I actually came out to my first time ever in the US was I came to Stanford for the International Lisp Conference in 2005. And I was just, it was like this really eye-opening moment where like there was this other world of American universities basically. And so that was in like June or something, and I decided basically then that I would just like apply to American schools, for the next year, which I guess was kind of outside the spec, but I mean, the worst that would happen is, they'd reject you and you could just apply the next year or something. And so I did that, and it worked out, and so I started at MIT. But I was kind of a year behind, and I started when I was 17, and so I sort of felt like I just kind of had this spare year. And the Irish high school system is pretty bad in a lot of ways, but one thing that's good about it is that you sort of do 3 years, then this big exam, and then you have this optional gap year before you do sort of 2 years and then another exam. And that gap year is supposed to be a time where you can kind of explore other interests, or just like do some work experience in a career that you think you might want to pursue, or go travel the world, or whatever it is. And John, my younger brother, was kind of currently in this year, and so we both kind of had just lined up with sort of some spare time, and we decided that we might as well try to start a company because it seemed kind of interesting.
And he was how old?
He was 16.
Okay.
And so we started this company, and the basic idea was that we thought eBay was really cool in that sort of by providing kind of liquidity to use the items. It was just kind of and kind of exploiting that possibility for coordination. It was sort of making the world much more efficient. But I mean, obviously eBay just like sucks. I apologize to any eBay.
It's okay, we're at AOL. We're not at eBay.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the more charitable way of saying it is something like, eBay's rate of improvement had slowed by 2006.
For the Americans in the room, means it sucked.
So we tried to build, or we decided to build sort of some better version of eBay. We didn't really have any terribly clear ideas of how to go about that, but we started working on some prototypes. And then we applied to Y Combinator, and what actually ended up happening is we merged with another company started by two guys, Harj and Kulveer Taggar, who had built a student marketplace in the UK and kind of basically also wanted to build a better version of eBay. So the four of us came together in May of 2007 to work on Octomatic, and yeah, the goal was to build a better eBay.
And how did that, just tell us how that process came together? Was that something where after you met, because you applied to Y Combinator with this original idea, and then was it something where Paul was like, hey, you gotta meet these other two guys, or how did it work?
He basically suggested that we talk to them and sort of figure out if there was any ways in which we could work together, and like pretty rapidly after meeting we decided that it made sense to work together. And they had sort of spent a long time working on this. They successfully launched this marketplace, and we really felt that sort of they had a very good understanding of it, and we liked the idea of working with them. They seemed pretty good. And actually now Harj is a partner at Y Combinator.
Sure. Yeah. And so you actually went through the Y Combinator program. You guys moved here?
That's right. We moved out here, and we got this like small little apartment in San Francisco, and went to work basically. And that was sort of really that was my first time sort of spending any significant amount of time on the West Coast and sort of learning how like startups worked, and like really Octomatic was just like this incredibly sort of foreshortened introduction to like startup land. It was like this whirlwind tour, and that it came out, and sort of we started working on this product. We raised some money from angel investors. We launched the product. It did reasonably well, and people liked it, and then it was acquired, and like all of that happened sort of from incorporation to acquisition in like 10 months. And so Octomatic never left sort of a huge mark on the world, but it was an incredible learning experience.